Hey guys, what's up? I'm back here with another piece from Xtreme Supercars. These are the TA splitters or front splitters that are made by Xtreme Supercars. Another really nice piece, really nicely finished. Complete carbon fiber, like you can see inside and out. The inside or whatever is going to be facing the body of the car, obviously not finished with a gloss, but the outside edge is finished really nicely and really great shine. The kit comes with essentially all the hardware you're going to need to mount these up. There's going to be a series of holes. These holes in the back here are going to use the existing hardware that is on the car now. We'll see that when we get underneath the car. And the front edge bolts, or the ones that are along the front edge here, we're actually going to be drilling out. So in the plastic of the bumper on the car. So basically these will conform. This will fit right up underneath the existing bumper on the Viper, and basically have a combination of bolts that come through the bumper itself that we're going to be drilling, like I said, and then the existing bolts. Okay, the screws that come with it are also included when they send us the pieces, so which is great. You basically have 6 bolts that are slightly long. I don't remember, whatever they look to be, 6 millimeter more than likely, or 1/4 inch, 20, whatever, something along those lines. But basically, these are about 1 inch long. These are about 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of 1 inch long. Washers are all the same. So basically you have 8 washers. It's basically for the 4 mounting screws on the piece for the front, and obviously the other 4 are for the one on the other side. The reason you have long and short screws is because the one in the extreme outside corner of the car or of the piece is a short bolt, because obviously you don't have the depth on this side for a the longer bolt. So you have one bolt that's going to go on the edge here, and you have the longer bolts that are going to go obviously all the way around. Now, when this is going to get done, basically, or when this is finished, we're going to be bolting through with a fender washer. So if you guys saw the video of what I did with the side skirts from Xtreme Supercars, you'll know and have seen these already. But basically just huge washers so that the surface area is nice and big. And then once this comes through, the bumper will obviously be up against here, and then the washer will be giving you a good big surface area to spread the load on the piece. Okay, I opted to go with the TA 1.0 versus the TA 2, and the only difference we were able to see when we were looking at these pieces over at Xtreme Supercars is the bolt holes underneath are identical as far as we can tell. They line up exactly the same. And then the only difference that we can tell as far as we can see between the TA 1.0 and the TA 2.0 is that the 2.0, this protective piece, is nylon piece, extends out about 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches beyond the splitter. The reason I went with the 1.0 versus the 2.0 is that not going to be a huge not going to be huge on the track. 2, since it's going to be mostly street driven, the longer piece I felt would probably catch on a bunch of different driveways, or anything with any kind of an incline. I'm more likely to catch it with a longer piece because it extends further. So I decided to go with the shorter piece. If I decided to go something where it's going to be, where I know it's going to be a flat piece and whatever the case is, once this is on and installed, it's easy enough to swap out the nylon piece for the larger piece. Again, this is exactly the same contour. The only difference is that the nylon piece on the 2.0 is going to stick out further. So I can basically swap it out at will, and just get underneath the car to do it. So it really isn't going to be earth shattering, and I would be able to get that swapped out pretty easily. All right. So we're going to go through the installation of this. It's actually going to be, I'm hoping, going to be relatively straightforward, but it does require me to get up underneath the car. So we're going to be getting the car up on the lift. Now, one thing I do want to note for you guys is when these are going to get installed, Xtreme produces or gives you a template. Now, this template basically, it's a real thin piece of fiberglass. You know, I don't know if you can really see that, but I mean, it's a real thin piece of fiberglass. That's an exact contour of the bottom of your bumper. Okay, and the way this goes and the way this works, I'll get rid of one of these pieces here so we don't have to have it up on the bench while I'm talking about the others. But basically what we're going to do is this is a mirror of the underside of the car, or the bumper of the car, right? And so you can tell that this essentially is going to line up here. Okay, if you see these screw holes will essentially line up with the factory locations, right? This one here on the end as well is a factory location on the bumper from the inside the wheel well, okay? And then this piece comes around, and if you can see it with the shadow there, especially here, you'll see that the hole lines up with where the nut is, okay, or where the bolts are is going to go through, okay? And then the idea is that when they give this to you, you're going to take this template, okay, which has, again, the contour of the bottom of the bumper. You're going to take this template, you're going to hold it in place with those factory bolts, and then once that's in place, you know, I'm probably going to hold it with the one on the end as well. Once those are in place, then that's going to give me the perfect position to open the 4 holes, okay, that I need to open, so that I can then bring in the bolts from inside the bumper into the edge of the splitter, okay? So really, really nice thing to have. When they ship these to you, these bolt holes, you know, if they shift over, or if they're shifted over, you know, whatever, a 1/16 of an inch, when they're putting them in, or whatever the case is, which, you know, obviously can happen. This is a handmade piece. What they do is they actually, the factory bolt holes are obviously going to be in the factory locations, but these, since it's in the handmade part, what they do is each one of these templates is drilled out to your specific splitter. So again, another really nice touch, guaranteeing you that that you're going to be able to do this right, and these holes are going to be in the precise locations that they need to be. All right. So again, really, really nice way to do it. This is going to be a little bit easier than the splitter. Again, if you guys saw it, not the splitter, sorry, the side skirts. If you guys saw that video, that we drilled the holes out in the carbon fiber piece and put those in ourselves, and then bolted it through those holes. This, obviously, everything is going to hopefully be a matter of lining everything up and getting it in there. All right, so let's go ahead and get this car lifted up, and I'll get started with rather the installation of the pieces on the bumper. All right, guys, so we're got the car up on the lift, and you've got the bumper underneath the car here, obviously the front bumper. This is the driver's side. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the template to pre-drill the holes where the splitter is gonna take hold of the bumper, which basically is gonna run up along here, come in a little bit underneath the bumper, but it's basically come up in here, and we're gonna drill 4 holes. So basically spread through here on the bumper itself, right? Then the way that we're going to get the unit attached physically is we're going to attach it with these 3 factory bolts. 1 bolt that's in the wheel well, okay? And then the 4 holes that we drilled, that we're going to be bringing bolts through the bumper down into the carbon fiber piece, and then everything is going to attach up nice and firmly, all right? So when we bring in the template fits the bumper perfectly, right? So obviously it's, you know, it's going to dance around a little bit now. We just got to have it bolted in, but once it is bolted in, you can see that it comes up real tight on the bumper. So this template is made really, really nicely. And then once we attach it, I'm going to attach it with the 4 bolts on the factory side, And then once that's in there nice and firm, then I will drill the holes that need to be drilled in order to mount the front splitter. And then those will go in there. They'll be mounted up real nice on the bumper, and essentially there are going to be 8 bolts holding that in place, 4 from the factory and 4 that we're going to drill and put in. So it should be a relatively simple thing to do. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started here, getting some of these bolts off so that we can get this template in place. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the bolt that's on the side. I'm using a power drill. If you, again, a power driver, if you're going to do it, just be careful with it. But you're going to be pulling them out. The head on it is a Torx 30, a T30. So just basically get those 4 screws out of the way. Trying to do this in such a way that you guys can see what I'm doing. Obviously I'd be up underneath the car closer if I was going to be doing this normally, but I'm just trying to keep out of the way of the video so you guys can see what it is that we're doing. Right, so this is basically going to bolt up in here. I'll locate that first screw. And now that template is in there pretty nice. And now obviously you're still going to have to obviously push this up into place, but you know, this is going to roll into place nicely, and the outside contour is going to come in real good. And then I'm just going to mark those 4 holes. All right, so I repositioned the camera slightly, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all of the bolts off to be able to drop this whole belly pan. All right, so along the front edge here, they are all T30s with the exception of one large bolt that's in the middle that is a T40, and then these inside here, which are T40s as well. So I'm just going to get all of these out of here. Now in the wheel well, on both sides, you have 2 bolts that are on the inside. Out of the way there. And then now we're going to switch the tip to the T40 and get these 4 out of here. All right. Whew. All those pebbles and a very dirty belly pan is now out. All right, so now coming up and taking a look at this belly pan, I'm going to bring in the light here to make sure that you guys can see what it is that we're seeing. But basically that's the top side of the bumper. And luckily for us, there is absolutely nothing in there that we have to worry about. So that's nice and clean and wide open. All right, so that's the driver's side. And then the passenger side, pretty much same thing. There isn't a single thing in there we need to worry about that we're going to get anywhere near. So at the end of the day, that's going to be a real simple thing. So now we can go ahead and drill out those holes and bring the splitter into place. I'm going to go ahead and make the leap now that we know that there's absolutely nothing back behind here that we have to worry about. I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes. Now, the bolts themselves, like I thought, are basically the bolts that are going to be holding this in place are essentially they're quarter-inch nuts, quarter-inch bolts. So if I drill a quarter-inch hole, then the position is going to have to be, you know, absolutely perfect. So since, you know, these are just threaded clips, I'm going to drill a hole 3/8 of an inch. We have massive washers that are going to be in the back of this, so I'm not concerned about that. I'm merely opening the 3/8 inch hole to give myself a little bit of play. When this screw goes in, I will have, if I open up a 1/4 inch hole, then it's going to be dead on, right? But if I have a 3/8 inch hole, then I'll have a little bit of play one way or the other. So when this carbon fiber piece comes in, which is completely rigid, I'll be able to move it around a bit to be able to get all the bolts to thread in. All right. So, okay, moment of truth. We're going to go ahead and drill into this now. You know, I'm going to just start this. This is plastic, so it's really not going to be much of an issue, to be honest with you. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to have to really go nuts with speed or anything. So, you know, I'm just going to go slow to get that hole started. And then once that's started, it'll just go right through the plastic real easily. I mean, there's really nothing to this at all, right? Okay, and that's it. That is the hole. So now the point of no return, that hole will be there forever. But that's it. That's all it is, guys. There's nothing more than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to get this screw through here. There's a washer on the back side there. I'm going to go ahead and line it up to this first bolt hole, which is kind of the middle. And then I'm just going to get the thread started. Once that's in there, then this pretty much should hold it up. You know, obviously it's not going to go anywhere. But I'll get that started and leave it a little loose so that I can get the other bolts in there. And I'm done. So that's there. So it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4. So general locations, one's going to be about here, one's about here, one's about here, and one is right here. Okay, so the rest of the screws that are going to hold this up are going to be that belly pan that comes up underneath here. So that belly pan, the way this is going to sit, that belly pan, I'll take a look at it and see. I'm not going to bolt that in, but I'm going to assume that that belly pan is going to sandwich the carbon fiber between it and the bumper. So that's what I'm going to go with. And then this side bolt, which is in the wheel well, then that'll be the last piece that'll come in, and that one will hold up the outside of the thing. So once these are all in there like that, we'll go ahead and tighten those up real nice, and then we should be good to go. And actually, probably since this is the way that this is, I'm going to go ahead and get this outside screw in there, and I'll probably set this inside one as well. Once I've got those set where they are, that'll pretty much line up the carbon fiber piece on the back side. Once that's lined up, then I'll go ahead and tighten the inside bolts so that this piece is going to be set in place and not move. At least it'll be tight to the bumper. Then when I remove these bolts out, this should not move. I'll be able to bring the belly pan back in and button everything up. It's open. So like I said, I'm going to put in the screw in here. Again, just to line up. Again, the carbon is obviously is going to be very, very rigid. So now in hindsight that I'm seeing this, I was wondering whether I was going to sandwich the carbon between the two pieces. There is no doubt I am going to sandwich the carbon between the two pieces. Reason being, as I'm tightening this down, it occurred to me that obviously if I tighten it too much, then I will snap that carbon, and I don't want to do that. These are all reasonably tight. And then, like I said, I'm going to use a little shorty 10 millimeter. All joking aside, like you guys, you all know, you are going to have to go out and buy one because you're not going to have it. It's that 10 millimeter mystery, right? It's like the Bermuda Triangle. And that's it. So that's in there nice and tight. Now, This is really attached down here. No way that this is going to come out of there. Okay. And that, folks, is that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off these screws again now, because at the end of the day, I don't need them in there. I'm just going to leave one in place just so that, you know, the carbon fiber doesn't flap around. But when I come in with the belly pan, obviously I'll take it out just so it's out of my way. All right, so that'll be it. Like I said, I'm just going to leave this one in here so as I move over to the other side, we don't get the you know, whatever, this isn't flapping around and isn't bothering me or whatever. I don't snap it by mistake. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move over to the other side now, get that side done, and I'll come in. I'm not going to give you the video of that because obviously it's exactly the same thing in reverse. So, but I'll bring the video back when I'm putting in the belly pan, and that way you guys get the final fit and finish. All right, so we're back up underneath here. Both pieces are now in. I've got the driver's side in. Like I mentioned, all these bolts are tightened. I've gotten the driver's side, passenger side in as well. One thing when I did that, and one thing that I should have mentioned before is when you are tightening these down, you want to make sure that this outside edge here is very tight up against the car. You don't want anything or any air getting in between there. You don't want any, you know, it's going to be a catch for everything on this upper lip. So what you do is, just to make sure that you get everything nice and tight again, is just thread in the bolts by hand loosely, and then as you're, you know, pulling the piece in towards the inside of the car, then just go ahead and tighten the bolt down once it's nice and tight up against the car, and then that'll make sure that your gap is gone. Then once you've done that, then tighten up the other bolts, which basically are just going to seal the gap up against the edge in the front, and you'll be cool. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and get that belly pan back up into place. Like I said, I'm going to put the belly pan back in over the top of the carbon fiber. This air dam. Incidentally, on the air dam, if you're, you know, if you have a doubt of which way it comes in or comes out, there is a little arrow on the air dam. That arrow goes to the outside. So when these bolts go through, you need to make sure that that arrow is pointing outward, so that you can get that into the right place. All right, so now we're looking at this from the bottom of the car. As you can see, I basically sandwiched the carbon fiber between the bumper itself and the composite belly pan that's on the car, right? So basically, I sandwiched that carbon fiber in there, and that's going to make sure that that stays nice and tight up in there. And also, I'm not torquing down on that carbon fiber to crack anything or do anything like that. So once that's in, these air dams are in place as well, and then all those screws are nice and tight, going all the way around along this edge here. Okay, these two screws in here. Okay, on this side, you'll be able to see, you can just barely see, let me bring in some light here, but you can go ahead and see that screw on the outside there going in through the carbon fiber. That's what you've got for that, and that holds the outside edge in. So once you're all done, this is your belly pan in and installed. Okay, and then your splitters. show you from the top side. All right, from the top side now, this is all done. Everything is nice and bolted in there. You can see that's got a really tight fit up against the bumper itself. Okay, there's a bit of a gap on the back side. All right, and this is where this bolt comes in, but basically it's a nice and tight fit all the way around, all underneath there. Obviously no gap because you're basically bolting down through the bumper into the carbon fiber with a set of threaded inserts that are basically epoxied into the composite. So looks really nice. Everything nice and clean. This is some dirt underneath my clear bra, but at the end of the day, it's just there for. We'll figure out how to get that resolved, but that is the installation of an Xtreme Supercar TA splitter.